Alright guys, welcome to Brad's American Garden. You can see it's been almost a week now. This is Good Friday, and I'm still getting lots more suckers that have grown out here. But the good news is these guys down here, which are celebrity tomatoes, are actually getting bigger, so I have hope that they're just kind of growing a little bit slower. They've got a taller one over here. Look at that big old sucker right there. Look at that guy. Oh shoot, there's another one right there. It's getting kind of big. I'll have to go through all of these and pull the suckers off. I also wanted to show you, this is one of those plants that got the topper taken off. It's kind of growing from that one. Haven't found any hornworms yet. Oh gosh, look at this thing. This is a problem right here. See, this guy, that's why it's so tricky when you're pulling off stuff, because I don't want to pull that off because I'm afraid if I do, it'll stop the plant from growing. Because, it looks like a sucker, but we still got this going up over here. So, I don't know if you can see that. So it's really confusing. Is this the topper or is this the topper up here? So I don't want to pull either of them off. Otherwise it's going to stunt the plant. It won't grow anymore. So, but you can see over here, we have got to put some more cross beams in. And I might anchor some other stuff. On this one over here, I had to pull this. I don't know if you can see that or not. This little wire thing just kind of hold it up because it was kind of leaning over. This is another thing right here. It's not really a sucker, but when you get stuff like this growing up under the ground, get rid of that stuff because it's just taking away from the strength of your plant. You can see I don't have much in the way of weeds in here because of the soil I use. It's a premix, or not a premix, it's a soil that I mix, which is 1/3 compost, 1/3 vermiculite, and 1/3 peat moss. And when you make your own soil, you're not going to get many weeds. The only weeds I have in here are weeds that my yard guy has blown in from mowing the yard. Anyways, we're going to put some cross beams in here today after I go through and take off all my suckers, because you see these guys, man, I got a good 2 feet or so. Because these guys are just leaning over, and I got to get them right so that they won't just blow over when we haven't had any storms, so we've been lucky so far, but we will. And when we do, if I don't have them in the cage in the grid system, then I'm going to be losing some plants. Holy cow. Yeah, look at this one. That's a sucker right there. Look how big that guy is. I'm going to cut it off. But anyways, I'll do that in a minute here. But that's the way she's looking right now. All right, we got some more of these stakes out of the garage. I got tons of them. Got my little tripod out, and we're going to go to pulling off some of these suckers and show you when they're too big, I cut them because I want them to go. That one obviously over here, that thing is freaking huge. Look at that thing. Look how big that guy is. So I got to get those off. I'm going to cut those off so it doesn't damage the plant. Instead of just pulling them off like this one, I can just pull off with my fingers. And even this one right here is, it's larger, but it's not that large. I just turn it to the side and pull it off. But I'm going to go through here and pull off all these suckers. And you see how fast they grow. It's only been a week. And obviously with something like that big, I obviously missed it last week. Didn't see it. They're hard to find. That's why you have to go through literally every week or so, every few days really. And look at these. Got a bunch on here already. Now these are supposed to be pears, yellow pears. And I like these yellow pears because they're sweet and they just grow plentifully. But I also like the Super 100s. Those are good ones for cherry type tomatoes. But whatever you grow, just grow. All right, I guess I'll start back here. So you see this, that big sucker. Look how big that thing is, huge. It's got a sucker of its own in there starting off. I got a bunch of these guys. And while I'm doing this, not only am I going to pull the suckers off, a never-ending battle, but I'll probably cut some of the lower branches off because obviously we don't need them. But you can see, you know, as you go down the list, or down the stem here, stalk, whatever you want to call it, a lot of these ones that I pulled off, they don't typically grow back. They can on occasion, so you got to watch them. But I got a bunch to pull off here, so some I cut, some I don't. But this is what I'm doing today. And like over here, I got to be careful. There's nothing on here. That's not going to grow anything. I want to get rid of that. Sometimes I look, like this one may hold up the plant a little bit because it's leaning against it. But I'm going to fix all this here in a little bit. I don't think I'll need this off there, so I'm just going to pull that off. There's another little one over here. I don't know if you can see it from the camera angle, but I pulled that off. I don't need that crap. And I just kind of go through and pull everything off I don't need. Because you can see, go over here, let me pull you up a little bit. Like this one right here, it's shaded. It's not going to get any sun. So it's really not going to do anything to strengthen the plant. And my goal is to keep the plant as strong as possible. So I'm going to go through here and pull off suckers, which won't bore you with watching, but then after that we're going to build up the grid system a little bit better. You can see that because these guys down here are a lot taller, these cherry tomatoes, than the larger tomatoes down here. They're not beefsteaks, but they're bigger tomatoes, and they're not growing as fast. That this side will have, you know, some other cross beam supports built up higher, or the other one's not ready for them yet. But you'll see what it looks like here in just a minute. Now I want to show you that, you know, when I put these things on, I just kind of wing it, and I kind of look how high the plants are around it. These guys are pretty high, so I'll probably move it up to about here and kind of make sure it's even, sticking out on both sides. Take my little zip tie, and I'll just do one side at a time. Don't care if it falls over there because it doesn't really matter. Just trying to figure out the best height for this. Come over this side and do this one. I want to do the outside first, just because once I start moving them around, and I haven't pulled the suckers off yet. I decided I was going to straighten them out a little bit by putting these suckers up, these stakes up. And here, because this one's going to stay, I'm not going to take this one out like I will some of the bottom ones. So I want it to be stronger. So if we get like a hurricane this year, which may happen, but I don't know, it's by the time I take these out. But if we have high winds or a big storm, I don't want this thing coming down. And it's been close to it several years. So anyways, this will, you know, putting more ties on in the middle will strengthen it. Okay, I'm just going to go to the next one. And you'll see I just got to pull these guys out gently because I don't want them to get damaged as I'm pulling out. This one's got some branches that are pulling around. Don't want that. Just kind of make sure I'm not in the way of anything. And see where I'm going to go to with this one. I may use a different one. That one was a little bit broken. And I want, especially out here, to be able to use, you know, an accurate height, because these guys are going to get, you know, a similar height because and width, because these will be here permanently. These won't come off during the year. So I kind of use those broken ones to do stuff that may or not be there, may or may not be there in a few months. I'm kind of amazed I haven't seen any hornworms so far. I mean, there was one, and I must have got rid of it, but accidentally when I was pulling the stuff off. And I'll put a few of these up here, but and then I'll put cross sections in so that they stay in their lane, basically. But let me go through here and do a bunch of these, and you'll kind of see more about what I'm doing here as we go on. All right, I'm going through, I've got some of the grid built. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of going through and cutting off some of these lower branches that are going to block the sun for other stuff. But I also wanted to point out on some of these really tall ones, these cherries grow quick. I put some of these little stakes up, and this is the time to start taking them off, because I got the grid system at least mostly built over here. Now sometimes I'll leave this up just to prop it up. Because it's not completely built. This one I don't have to. It's built enough. I'll find another place to use that. But you see, even like this one, I don't know if you can see that one or not. Let's see. Right here. So on this one over here, if you don't get it off the stem before it's too late, it'll get too thick and you can't take it off. So that's what I'm doing right now. Just pulling stuff off, getting things organized, making sure that everything I got is going to allow the most sun to the right leaves so that we get the best growth and the best strength out of the plant. And so far they're looking pretty good. There's a couple screw ups, which I'll show you one of them over here, which I'm a little bit confounded on what to do with. Where is that guy? So, right there. Let me see. Let me bring you in closer. So you see right here, it looks like it might have been a sucker. I don't know. But up here at the top, it looks like that might be a topper, but it's very difficult to tell. And I'm afraid right now, if I cut this off right now, it'll have bad consequences for me. So those are some of the dilemmas you have to deal with when you're doing this. You just got to make some choices. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But let me finish some of this and I'll get back to you. Okay. Here's one more thing. You got to be careful when you're doing this. You're messing. This one's kind of, this pole is not tied on. But you don't want it really to be resting on there, because you see what's going to happen is the more it gets windy and so forth in here, it's gonna pop those off. And you might be able to see, let me see, I've got one back in here that did pop off. Where is it? Right there. And that happened just on, you know, pulling off stems and suckers and so forth. So yeah, you're gonna lose a few, but try not to. So this one's got a ways to go. I gotta get on this one. But so far looking good. Takes a little time, but it's kind of enjoyable. So just to kind of give you some ideas, like this is not going to be doing anything for me because it's under like triple canopy over here jungle. So that's kind of my reasoning for cutting off these lower branches. They're not going to do anything for you. Yeah, there's this one over here. And then, like I say, you got to be gentle when you pull it out, because you don't want to take off any of these existing ones. Now, I will say, you know, I always try if I have a support, if one of these branches, I can lean over one of these poles, then I leave it on there because that's going to help support upward growth. And that's kind of my reasoning. There's no perfect science to this. You just kind of do your best you can and try not to cut off a topper, like I say. It's like this one, I'm going, what do I do about that one? No, that's not a topper. Or I mean, that is a topper. So I'll leave that one alone. But yeah, there's always issues. Here's one over here that's, I don't know if you can see that, but right there. That is not a topper. That is a sucker. So we'll get that one off. And, you know, like this one right here, this one may have been a sucker, but now it's the topper. So you just kind of got to be careful when you're doing this. That is definitely the topper now. Anyways, more in a minute. See, this one's not really propped up by this, but I'm leaving it on here to keep it from going that way as the wind blows, because it's barely kind of propped up on this right now. And yeah, in the next week it'll be over this crossbar here, so I'll be good. And all these I don't have locked in yet because I don't really have a need to. And I've only done these first 8 plants so far, and that's all the leaves I've gotten off of here. So like I said, you gotta keep on it. Every morning I'll come out here and look for more that, yeah, maybe every other morning. I don't feel like coming out every single day and popping them off. It's way too early. But anyways, thought I'd show you where I'm at right now. All right, I wanted to show y'all something. This plant right here has 0 leaves. It's got a couple tomatoes on there. It's got some flowers. I'm hoping that it does sprout something. I don't know if it will, but obviously I'm not going to just kill it. I'm just going to let it die on its own if that happens. I will say over here, this one right here, that was a huge sucker that I had missed, and it created another huge plant out of it. And I just made the command decision just to cut it off to strengthen the plant and see how the plant does from here on out. Got a lot of screw-ups this year. But like this one right here, this plant that is, see how it's kind of leaning over? I haven't got in other supports down here to hold it up, but I will. I may prop this up with one of those stakes after I cut off some of these lower branches down here, because you know they're just too shaded. They're not going to do anything. And of course these guys over here are still very, oh, there's another one right there. They're still very small. Hopefully they'll get up the more I prune them. The more you prune them, the faster they're going to grow upwards. So anyways, more in a little bit. Alright, so I'm back over at this one. I pulled the stake out over here from over on the other side. Cut that off so it has a nub. I want to cut this one off, but I'm going to cut this lower one off because that makes more sense. Alright. And then when you're propping these suckers up, you got to be careful, because you see I got flowers right here. If I knock those flowers off, I'm not going to get anything. So I'm just going to prop it in there like that for right now while I decide what else I want to cut off. So this is a topper. Definitely don't want to get rid of that or I'm screwed. This will keep it fairly straight. I'll probably put another crossbeam in down here just to keep these other ones in line while I look around. All right, well, I'm done for the day, I think. Got most of it off. Got up enough grid that I think I'm good enough. Here's one pile. There's another pile over there of leaves I cut off. And then back here, there's another pile. So that's how much I trim off roughly every week until, you know, you got to do this for, I don't know, the first month or so. The first month you're not going to be doing anything because you just want it to grow. Pull suckers off and that's it. And then after that, your second and third months you're trimming. And then after that, you just kind of occasionally pull something off. But you can see this one, I just barely propped it up right here. I just didn't feel like I wanted to put up a stake or another crossbar down here yet. I could, might. Haven't decided yet. Because everything's growing at a different rate, as you see. So most of these big tall ones are all in their own little grid when you look down on it. They're all propped up, so none of these really need staking anymore. That's the beauty of having the grid system. It's better than a cage, because a cage keeps it too close in. This allows them to have some freedom of movement, which creates you a stronger stalk, and that's going to create a more healthier, vibrant plant, more producing. Now, I don't know, I don't feel so good this year about all the screw ups I got in here. Cutting toppers off, like I say, it's always my biggest worry. Just, oh crap, was that a topper? And sometimes it was. So anyways, until next week, this is where we're at right now.
Sit down.
Okay, for those of you who are wondering what happened to Teddy, the tomato guard dog, Mama's got to give him a little cut today. So he's over here freaking out. I'm about to help out because he's got to be held down to keep going on. Isn't that right, Teddy? And then you'll be ready to go get you some squirrels.